Yay!
Beautiful.
Oh, I
I,
love that picture behind you. That's incredible.
well, thank
Wow.
you. It's my little reminder while I'm still at work of
Oh, bliss.
reminding me to be in nature. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
like.
I got some steps right there.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like I can walk out there anytime.
Yeah. I like that.
What's
So I'd
this?
love to hear a little bit about your story, if you
Yeah.
would like to share that with me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, where to start? Um, so obviously the accent shows I'm not from these parts.
Yes.
Originally from Manchester in the UK. Moved over here would be about 7 or 8 years ago now. I think I stopped counting, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
something like it's either 7 years or 8 years ago. Moved over here, but spent the previous 7 years to that traveling the world, working on cruise ships. So it was a beautiful, beautiful time in my life, and
Yeah.
it was great that my very last contract on my very last ship. I remember one of the things I always used to say was like, "Oh man, like working on cruise ships would be so amazing if there was no passengers. Like it would be the best, be the best job in the world." And then, fortunately enough, like it might sound a bit dramatic, but there was an explosion on the ship
Right.
on the last cruise. It was just a small thing, but it apart like
Yeah.
broke in the engine room,
Yeah.
and it meant we had to cancel the last cruise. So sailing from Singapore down to Fremantle.
Yes.
But just so happened that my last cruise on my last ship on my last contract was there was no passengers on board, and then I ended up in Fremantle and just thought I kind of like it. I might stay for a little bit,
Yeah.
and never left. But yeah, it's that's how I got here to Australia. But yeah, my journey, I guess, like I guess, and you want to talk more about like the mental health sort of things and resilience and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yes, and also I guess because you as a person, like what inspires you as well, right? Because
Yeah.
that all is part of that.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. So I guess where the inspiration comes from, like now, in terms of what I'm trying to do in the world, and the mark I'm trying to make for myself and for my family and for my little one,
Yeah,
is that I've obviously got my own story like everybody does. But
yeah,
one of the big like mind-blowing realizations that I got throughout this journey, especially on the road to recovery, so to speak, was that nobody ever taught anything that I learned about mental health management and
yeah,
being able to understand emotions and things like that. Nobody ever taught me that when I was younger.
yeah,
And it's not my mum's fault, it's not my family's fault, because they probably weren't taught that either.
yeah,
It's and the education system like never had anything. Like it's from the moment you get in as a kid, at the age of like 5-6 years old, yeah, you have a little bit of fun, you play around a little bit, but it just becomes learning about the most, I guess, the smartest way to find a job.
yeah, yeah,
And nobody ever teaches you how to deal with emotions, how to deal with what
right,
happens when somebody in your family dies,
yes,
because it's going to happen to everybody.
yeah,
But nobody teaches you how to deal with that. Nobody teaches you how to understand what you're supposed to go through. So it just blew my mind that like, why, like, does this guy that ended up teaching me like all this stuff, beautiful guy here in Perth, by the name of George Halou,
yeah,
um why does he know this,
yeah,
and why is this not being taught in
yes,
schools?
yes,
I mean, so it was there. It's like, okay, well, this is what now, like, this was a massive awakening for me. It's like, okay, well, I've got this opportunity now. Now I know all this stuff to really start to try and make a difference.
yeah,
But at that time, when you're bombarded with information like that, it's so like overwhelming. You're like, oh my god, I want to change the world, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it's like, let's do it. And then
yes,
you actually look at reality and you go, hold on, how the hell is one guy
yeah,
supposed to change the education system?
yes,
And it's a near on an impossible job.
yeah,
Like, there's so much politics and time and legislation that you have to go through. So there's that thing. It's like, oh my god, it's impossible. It's not gonna happen. But over the past, I think it's been about 5 or 6 years, just from maintaining, doing what I'm doing for myself, and changing my career, so to speak, from managing a boxing gym to moving towards sort of like life coaching and mental health and stuff like
Yes.
that. It's, just being on that path and staying consistent with it. I found myself just a couple of weeks ago running my first workshop in a school,
Ah,
to be able to teach kids like my version of how to build
yeah.
resilience and how
You
to
should see
understand.
your face light up when you talk about
That's awesome. That's so good to hear.
it. That's very cool.
But yeah, that's yeah, running that first workshop was, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
fucking unbelievable. Like,
yeah.
I've never been so cold and sweat so much at the same time
Yes.
from nervousness, but it was
Yeah,
so cool just to watch, like, I think it was about 50 or 60 kids there, just like fully engaged in
yeah,
hearing me talk, and
yeah,
being able to really like, holy shit,
yeah,
I'm able to really make a difference. And
yeah.
then this one little kid come up to me at the end, and he was just like, oh man, I really loved what you spoke about. It was really good.
Oh,
It really helped me. And it's like, please come back. Please make sure you come back and do more.
oh,
And
wow.
I was just like, don't
Yeah.
stop it. Yeah, it was it really tugged at the old heartstrings.
Oh, that's so good. That's really, really beautiful. I think too, like it, because so many kids are suffering now, and they're suffering more and more. And the kids are dealing with a lot more adult stuff now than
Mm,
more than ever, right? And
yeah.
so, being able to empower kids now when they're so young is just going to set them up with so many incredible tools for the rest of their life, right? For most of us, we sort of grew up floundering,
Mm,
discovering, not really having any tools or whatever. And all of a sudden we're adults and we're going, shit,
yeah.
how do I deal with this? So it's, being able to help kids at such an earlier stage
Mm,
is just going to like change their generation, but just imagine what it's going to be like for their kids,
mm.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, look,
Yeah.
you're seeing it already. Like, I also do some public speaking, like some keynote sort of stuff as well. And part of what I talk about in those talks is like just the statistics here in Australia alone for like teenage mental health issues is just,
Yeah.
it's it's horrifying to think about.
Yeah.
Like absolutely horrifying. Like one of the big statistics that I like to talk about it. It's a little manipulated, but it makes a lot of sense. Is that there's four in 2018 there's 418,000 students studying in high schools in WA.
Yeah.
So averaging that out to about, I think it's about 387 students per
Yeah.
school. So it's 418,000. I can't remember the number of schools there are, but averaging it out to about 387 students per school, you're looking at 27 high schools full of students that try to commit suicide every year.
Yeah.
Like 27 high schools.
Yeah.
It's just fucking unbelievable.
It is.
Like, I know there's obviously high schools that have got way more students than 387.
Yeah.
Like there's high schools out there with thousands,
Yeah.
but you know, okay, even dialing it back and going like even one high school full of kids that are trying to commit suicide,
Yeah.
it's that's still too much, and
That's it.
why this is happening, like, we can only speculate, and we can only, say, oh, is it social media? Is it this? And is it that? And, is it that kids are being forced to do stuff like earlier than they're supposed to be doing? And like, does it really matter?
Yeah.
We can sit
Yeah.
here and talk about this sort of stuff
Yeah.
all day long, but
Yeah.
unless we really start to take some action and do something about it, these kids are going to continue to suffer.
That's it. And I was going to say that because the thing is that the world is always changing, right? There's always going to be pressure
Hmm.
on children and adults. There
Hmm.
always is going to be. So, and teens. So the thing is that equipping them with what they, arming them with the right tools now, and also helping them being able to understand themselves, right? How, when they're feeling those thoughts, because it's quite easy to brush those off. When people start having suicidal thoughts, they just think, oh, and they're not sure how to process it. Adults are like that. So for children, it's easy to understand why it just gets out of hand so quickly, and they feel afraid to tell anyone about it, like they've got that shame there, you know, because we're brought up with shame around that. And even with, when it comes to religions, you know, there's a lot of religious beliefs about it being suicide, actually being like murder, you know, murdering yourself and stuff like that. So the kids have a lot to deal with when it comes to having those thoughts and even punishing themselves for having those thoughts.
Yeah. And I again, like, this is all down to education. And like, you know, I've been to that point where I've tried to take my own life, and it's dark, it's horrible. It's not a place you ever want to get to. But I think one of the, like, I'm gonna go a bit dark and a bit deep here, but I
Do
think
it.
one of the biggest things that I've learned for myself is that when you get to that point where you want to take your own life, it's not you saying that you want life to be over. It's you want, what you're saying is you want what you're experiencing right now. You want this to die.
The
You want this to
pain to
you want
end.
this to go away.
Yeah.
Whether it's the pain, the situation,
Yeah.
the struggle that you're having to deal with,
Yeah.
it's that life
Yeah.
that you want to disappear.
Yes.
And at that moment, that moment when you sit down and you're totally honest with yourself and you say, I'm fucking fed up with this life and I want it to end,
Yeah.
you have the biggest opportunity to make the biggest amount of change that you can possibly do.
Yeah.
But there's no education, and there's nothing to say, okay, well, what can you do?
Yeah.
So people go, well, things are just too overwhelming, I can't deal with my emotions, so how do I get the emotions to stop? Is let me take my own life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, it's horrible,
It is.
because we're, you know, it's not just about kids, this is about adults as well, you know,
Yeah.
like these people have obviously never been given enough time to go, you know, when you're dealing with these sorts of emotions, what can you do about it?
Yeah.
You know, what have you got to be able to go, like, I've been feeling down and deep and dark for months, you know, how do I deal with this?
Yeah.
There is nothing. Yeah, and it's like, I think a lot of it comes down to, again, where this is, I don't think we're not taught this in school, but you know, there's a general perception that we've got to be afraid of the dark. You
Yes.
know, there is you've got to be fearful of darkness.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you know, you do get into those dark, you know,
Yeah.
metaphorically dark times, you become even more afraid, and you
Yes.
become even more in touch with your survival instincts
Yeah.
and your
Yeah.
stresses and your anxiety, and it just
Yeah.
curtails into something worse.
Yes. Yeah.
When, you know, darkness is something, you know, that should be embraced as much as your lightness, your happy
Yeah.
times, you know,
Yeah.
your beautiful times.
Yeah.
We revel in those and we celebrate them. You know, just
Yeah.
look at Instagram and Facebook. You know, you can see there's like, we love our good times,
Yes.
but we don't, you know, we don't sit and we don't give that attention to our darkness either.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
at this, oh sorry, at the same time, it's,
Yeah.
and
I
I
know.
think that's where, you know, we get into these struggles.
Yes.
And I, you know, I think as broadly as we can put it, I agree with you. You know, everyone experiences, you know, mental health and the dice with suicide like very differently.
Yes.
But in a broad terms, it's we are getting into that point where we slipped into that darkness, and
Yes.
we, because we've never spent any time there, we don't know how to come out.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And now the darkness, you know, especially, you know, experiencing brain trauma and that, it actually made it. I actually dealt with that far better. So I feel like that darkness actually was to help me
Hmm.
for what was coming. You know what I mean? So because I could have easily, because I, you know, other people that had gone through similar experiences to me had become suicidal. So I was really lucky that I had knew what darkness was
Hmm.
and could feel into it a lot more, and you know, and find a lot of peace and healing, and you know, within that. And so I'm super grateful for that experience, right? And I think where you are so bang on right when you are able to look at darkness in a different light,
Hmm.
and yeah, and see it as an opportunity for healing. It's such a beautiful thing, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's lessons to be learned from everything,
Mm.
and it's we're just sheerly afraid to go down and learn those lessons when it's
Yeah.
about negative things. Like when
Yeah.
it's something positive that can bring us fruit, so to speak, like money
Yeah.
or success or joy, happiness, things like
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
we dive into that, no problem,
Yeah.
and we'll use as much as our resources as possible to spend in that time.
Yeah.
But when it comes to that dark spot, it's
Yeah.
we don't want to spend time there because it
Mm.
fucking sucks.
Yeah. It does.
It's just to be blunt,
Yeah.
it sucks.
Yeah, it's so true.
Mm.
And so what were some of the lessons that you learned um, going through that and, like actually rising out of that?
It's
Yeah.
been a lot of like I would as a metaphor, I'd put it more on a roller coaster sort of
Yes.
situation.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think I've helped myself personally a lot on this whole journey.
Yeah.
Like the choices I've made have been, I don't want to say difficult ones, but the choices where it's put me in a mass amount of solitude. So
Yeah.
for example, like moving to Australia
Yes.
is I had a very very small amount of family on around here
Yeah.
in Australia, but they weren't super close where I could open up to them or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I think it was maybe about 3 years, maybe 2 years, sorry, after I tried to take my own life that I moved to Australia.
Yeah.
And I've left myself with no support,
Yeah.
not knowing anyone, and
Yeah.
having to figure it all out by myself. So
Yeah.
that hence the roller coaster.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I got myself back on track. I did great. Like that first initial move out was like, yeah, this is fantastic. I was exercising all the time, feeling great,
Yeah.
making lots of good friends. And then after when I chose to move to Australia, there were some demons that were still there that were I was
Mhm.
not working through, so to speak.
Mhm.
I'd realized that, okay, this exercise thing seems like it's working for me to keep me
Yeah.
mentally strong.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until that time of like, holy
Mm.
shit, I'm alone now, I
Yeah.
don't have those friends anymore,
Mm.
that it's like, okay, now we've got the next path, which
Yeah.
was I think it was maybe about 7 months after I moved to Australia, maybe a little bit less, a little bit short. I don't know, a little bit longer, but I ended up living in my car for maybe about 3 or 4 weeks because I
Yeah.
didn't have a home to go to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, there's another thing that we've got
Yeah.
to overcome. Yeah, it's look at the end of the day, this you could look at this as the mental health journey, or you can look at this as this is just life in general.
Yeah.
This is what happens to you throughout life. Sometimes you have good times, like moving to Australia.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have bad times, like struggling to find a place to live, so you have to live in your car for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the mental health journey. It's just the things that you have to deal with,
Yeah.
like breakups, like death, like
Yeah.
losing your job. Like there's a lot of tough things that we can go through. Like
Yeah.
look at COVID, what that's done to us.
Yeah.
No,
It's
nobody.
triggered a lot of stuff in a lot of people. Yeah.
Mm, and
Yeah.
we can't control that.
Yeah.
That's just happened to us. That's
Mm.
life. But like you said, yeah, there's a lot of people that have been really triggered by this.
Yeah.
And this is where I hold myself in and say that I felt fortunate to go through all this,
Yeah.
like suicide and homelessness and
Yeah.
a lot of other crazy things. Is that I've learned a lot of shit along the way, where it's like COVID's been like I'm very fortunate to say that none of my family have got been affected by it. Super fortunate to be here in Perth, where it's
Yeah.
barely even touched us.
Yeah.
Um, I feel very fortunate that it's really pushed me into really working on what I want to do for myself in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so COVID's not really affected me, but like on the emotional side of things, it's like I lost my job, lost
Yeah.
my I lost the gym that I was working at. I
Yeah.
was running a boxing gym that disappeared because
Yes.
of COVID,
It
and it's
caused havoc on fitness centers and
yeah.
PT studios and boxing places, big time. Yeah.
And this is where I say unfortunate is like I could have quite easily sat there and tried to blame anything and everyone
Yeah.
around me and got angry and frustrated about it. But it's just the education that I learned through darkness and
Yeah.
through going through life coaching and doing lots of other sorts of education. It's like, okay, well, it's happened.
Yeah.
Can I personally physically myself do anything about it? Yes or no? And it's like, well, the answer is no, I can't, because it's not just happening to me, it's happening to the entire world.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, do what you can do.
Yeah.
Learn, sit there, and if you do feel shitty about it, sit there and go, okay, well, let's fucking speak this shittiness out. Like, why am I angry about this? And it's like, I just lost my job. I
Yeah.
just lost my business. I just lost my whole livelihood that, we tend as human beings to create as a part of our identity of who we are. So it's like, I've just lost potentially a massive part of my identity. And it's like, I should be angry. I should be upset.
Yeah.
They are really valid responses.
Yeah.
So let's understand that. Let's sit there and let's go through it and go, yeah, I have a right to be angry. And
Yes.
then, okay, now I'm gonna be fucking angry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna run through that emotion so that it doesn't drag around with me for the next God knows how many years
Yes.
while this
Yeah.
this whole situation's going on.
Yeah.
Because now I've dealt with it. It's, yeah, am I going to be angry again? Of course.
Yes.
Anger is not something that just, it's not like it happens to you and then it's gone and then that's it. You deal with it forever. It returns for many different reasons.
Yes.
So it's like sitting with and dealing with that emotion is been, and being able to have the education to be able to do that has
Yes. Yeah.
been super, super life changing. And
Yeah.
this is what people need.
Yeah.
This is what, it's not, look, it's not the most exciting thing to do in the world. It's not like, going and skydiving or jumping, going rock climbing and doing any adventurous thing. It's
Yeah.
adventurous in a different way where
Yes.
rather than going to the outside world to find adventure, you go into the inside world to find your adventure, to learn about who you really are
Yeah.
and how you really deal with these things.
Yes.
And once you're connected to that and you realize that, life just starts to become a little bit more simpler and a little bit more easy every day,
Yes.
because once you understand how things affect you and
Yeah.
how you deal with things in certain situations, you can make sure that you don't put yourself in those situations more often.
Yeah. That's
And
it.
you can guide your own life to where you want it to really go, because it's like, well, if I know that X, Y, and Z piss me off and make me angry, why the hell would I want to do X, Y, and Z anymore?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's, but
Yeah.
this is the thing, we X, Y, and Z become part of our lives, so it's like I have to do it because it's part of my life. We
Yeah.
don't think that we can just cut it away because it's, it pisses us off. It's just like, this is just something I have to deal with. So
Yeah.
anger, is something I have to just get over, and it's just like, yeah, whatever, get over it, Joey.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's like, why the hell do we do these things if,
I know.
if they're making us in these emotional states? But we don't know this unless we sit there and go on that like internal adventure with
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah. It's so, and I think too, you know, it's easy to do lots of crazy stuff externally and to look for external stuff because it feels bigger, like we've taken a bigger step, right? Where, looking internally and taking baby steps internally
Mm.
actually creates so much more momentum, even though it may not feel like it does, you know what I mean? Because we're used to taking massive steps externally, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And so, and being able to do that for yourself, take those baby steps within yourself, because let's face it, if you're feeling really crap, it would be a lot nicer if you could just go, Shazam,
Yeah,
it's
100%.
all fixed.
That's where, like, people find the use for drugs, alcohol,
Yeah,
pornography,
yeah,
social media, like those big adrenaline rushing things
yeah,
to try and give themselves that
yeah,
that boost.
yeah,
Because, let's be honest, like, drugs do that,
yeah,
that it works. It works in the short term, but the long term effects are catastrophic.
yes,
But that's why people choose to go down that path, because it
yeah,
solves that problem.
yeah,
Whereas, I'm be blunt and honest, like, sitting here with your emotions, you're gonna feel great,
Yeah.
but not like I've just had a line of cocaine great. You're gonna feel like you're gonna feel like, oh yeah, I'm finally on top of things. It's
Yes.
not that high. It's just like this inner, like it's almost like a peaceful high, if that's
Yeah.
even a thing. If
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you know
I
what it is.
totally get that. I
Yeah,
absolutely totally get that.
yeah,
And, I like it because it's like a high, but you're grounded at the same time.
mm,
Yeah. And you feel a lot of gratefulness and love, and there's a lot more hope there, and you just feel like content. People sometimes say that like contentment is boring, but it's not. It really is just like an inner peace. It's really a really lovely feeling to feel like that. And not only that, once you get into that, you actually start attracting a lot more incredible things into your life as well, right? Because you've got that within yourself. You're not looking externally for other things to fix you, right? To
mm,
kind of pull you out.
mm. Yeah, you're 100% right. And but this is unfortunately the road we get led down, because our entire focus for maybe, depending on where your education starts and finishes, like there's somewhere between 10 to 20 years,
Yeah.
you're basically working and learning how to earn money.
Yeah.
So you then go, okay, well, that means everything that has to come into my life is provided to me financially,
Yeah.
through money, through purchasing something, or
Yeah.
buying something to make myself feel better,
Yeah.
like buying that experience, buying that beer, buying that meal, buying that present. It's
Yeah.
that's what we get taught, because what else is there?
Yeah.
It's like, on the flip side of this, like, I do want to say that there's schools out there making some beautiful changes to the way they educate their kids,
Yeah.
but it's going to be a long journey in
Yeah.
terms of making that like mainstream
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's that's it. We do spend our life dedicating it to work, and it's
Yeah.
I took a photo of my daughter this morning, just before I took her to daycare, and completely candid. I just said, Marley, look at me, and she just looked at me, and I took a quick photo, and it's the most cutest little picture you've ever seen in your entire life. She's just sat there, just smiling at me, and it's like, this is awesome. And I took her to school, and I didn't really think anything of it, and then I looked back at it later, and what hit me was that it's like, that photo and that feeling that I get from now being able to look at this photo cost me absolutely nothing
Yeah.
but me.
Yeah.
It cost me being able to be 100% present with my daughter,
Yep.
to be able to spend that time with her, to have a laugh and a joke and fun, and do some cool stuff before she went to daycare,
Yeah.
to then go, hey, Amali, look at this bump, and captured this beautiful emotion that she's experiencing at that
Yeah.
time. Yeah, of course, the phone cost me money to be able to afford to buy that, to take that
Yeah.
photo.
Yeah.
But well, this is the thing, is like, they're the experiences that mean the most to us in our lives.
Yeah.
Is that are those moments where you can just sit and go, holy shit, that is good.
Yeah.
That is a good feeling. The way I look at the little interaction I had with my daughter this morning is that I could have just took that picture and thought nothing of it, sent it
Mm.
to my wife, and made her feel happy, and that would it. Got on with my day.
Yeah.
But again, it's this education that I've been blessed to go through an experience, that made me stop and go,
Yeah.
that was because I was present at that moment, and I
Yeah.
gave my full time and attention to it. I
Yeah.
wasn't on my phone thinking about work. I wasn't, busy thinking about that shit that happened to me that other day that, I'm still
Yeah.
pissed off about.
Yeah.
You know, all of that stuff I've been managed to deal with,
Yeah.
so I can have these moments where I can go, I did that.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking proud that I did
Yeah.
that.
And you created that moment for yourself, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's a really, I love that we're talking about this, because it's a really special thing to be able to do for yourself, to create those special moments in your day, to be present and create those, because that also then also creates more momentum.
Mm,
in your life, right? Because the more you do that for yourself, the more you appreciate life and those people around you. And you have way more special moments because you actually give yourself the opportunity to see them for what they are.
mm. Yeah, look, this is my number one favorite topic to talk about. Like outside of the whole the children's education thing, is
Yeah,
that is all about ownership,
yeah,
and it's that you are the you are in 100% control of everything that happens to
yeah,
you, for you, with you, you know, in your life. And I think this is one of the most overlooked aspects of an individual's life, that, you know, we kind of just shove to one side, and we
yeah,
think that everything else around us is controlling us to affect how we live our life. And it's like, yeah, okay, there's things you know you can't control, like COVID, for example. You know,
yeah.
you can't control that, but you can control what you do in that moment.
Yes.
You can control what happens to you within it. It's like, if you don't want to be in Australia, you don't have to be.
Yeah.
You know, yes, you may have ties and you may have these things that are keeping you here,
Yeah.
but literally there's nothing stopping you from jumping on a plane and going somewhere else,
Yeah.
or, you know, moving house, doing anything.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go and do that, but
Yeah.
it's, you know, we have this opportunity to be able to make these changes for ourselves at
Yeah.
any given time.
Yeah. That's
And
it.
it's like, we I think this is a really, like, a massive, like, slap in my face for me. Like, something that I learned was that it doesn't matter what is going on to you in your life. Like, it is your responsibility to change it.
Yeah.
Like, it's, you know, you could be going through the worst shit of absolute shit, and you can be dragging through shit along with it. And that's on you as
Yeah.
a person,
Yeah.
because there's only, you know, it may only your involvement in that thing may only be a very, very small percentage, but you're still involved in it.
Yeah.
Therefore, if you're involved in it, you have the capability to change it.
Yeah.
It may be monumentally, overwhelmingly tough to try and change it, but you can do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of realizing that you as a person and me as a person, I am 100% in control of everything that happens to me, with me, for me.
That's it.
It's the way we feel about it and the way we think about it that really depicts, like, how we act in those moments.
Yeah.
So this is where, you know, where when we get angry about things, it's like, you know, I know, let's blame every person around us for what's going on.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's blame our prime minister for the lockdown, or let's blame, you know, the government for this, or the people that are organizing the vaccinations for that, and
Yeah.
let's blame, you know, let's blame Jenny down the road because she's a bitch and she did this and she said that, and, you
Bloody
know,
Jenny.
I know, bloody Jenny. Like, you know, and it's this is what we do. We tend to want to, you know, push everything onto other people, because it, for those moments, it makes us feel better, because it helps us release that anger. But really, it's like, well, okay, you know, spend all this time blaming and doing whatever you want. Is that really changing everything for you? Are you
Yeah.
feeling, once you've got that blame out, are you really feeling better?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, you should probably change it.
Yeah.
Like, there's, you know, there's probably hundreds and thousands of people, you know, just across Australia alone, that have lost their jobs
Yeah.
recently because of this whole COVID thing. I hate talking about COVID, but it's, you know, it's so relevant that it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, let's blame the government for the lockdown and for, you know, for all that. Let's blame, you know, this stupid crazy situation. Let's blame, you know, the one guy that unfortunately was happened to have COVID in the entire state. Let's
Yeah.
blame him for the lockdown.
Yeah.
You know, okay, well, great, but does that mean that you're going to have a job? Does that mean that you're still able to earn money? Does that mean you're still able to provide for
Yeah.
the things that really mean stuff to you? Like, you know, for you, are you able to enjoy and experience your life the way you want to? Are
Yeah.
you able to provide for the things that you really mean something to you? Like, maybe you've got a family or a partner, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's up to you in that moment to go, you know what? Fuck all this bullshit that's going on around me. I have the ability to make this change for myself.
That's it. Yeah.
And once you get to that point, and, you know, it does come from a little bit of digging, within yourself to get to that point, to realize that, you know, it's me. I have that chance. It's like you start to realize that nothing is really impossible. Yeah, things are shit in life, and shit will continue to happen to you throughout life. But it's up to you to decide how you're going to act in that situation when they happen. Of how you experience that situation.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just went on a little bit of a rant there.
That's cool. I agree. So I think, you know, taking ownership definitely helps ramp up your inner resilience as well, right? Because then you find when you're taking full ownership, you take responsibility, hold yourself accountable, then you know that you have your own back, right? Forgot to turn my phone off.
That's all right.
And actually, my ringtone is "It's a beautiful day in the neighbourhood." So,
I like that.
so I'll just put it on Do Not Disturb. There we go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I have a chirpy song on there. People go, "Wow, that's like very chirpy." I go, "Of course it is." Yeah. So, you know, with building resilience, you know, taking ownership for yourself plays a huge role in that, right? And so, you know, and that's been a huge. This is why I love resilience, and even go, you know, I used to talk a lot about mindset, and then I just one day I thought, fuck mindset, like because I actually found even for myself when people were coming to me, they wanted to adopt someone else's mindset, and I said, well, why aren't you creating your own? And then they wanted someone else's. They wanted to be like someone else, and I just thought, yeah, I've got to just like throw the whole mindset thing out the door and help people, you know, just forget about mindset. How are you going to create your own stance within yourself and where you're going to come from and your own mindset, if you want to call it mindset, and really just have a really powerful and grounded inner resilience, so that then you know you've got your own back, no matter, you know, how much you're up shit river without an oar, right? So
yeah, you're 100% right. Like, you know, it's great to have inspiration, and it's great to have motivation. Like, the people that say motivation's bullshit, it's, you know, I don't like that. Like, motivation is helpful.
yeah,
It's not the key, and it's not the be all and end all to everything. The same with inspiration. You know, it's not the key and the be all and end all, but it's, you know, it helps to get you started.
yeah,
But we look at it, and, you know, like, I love watching The Rock. I love watching Kevin Hart. You know, I love those guys. You know, they're super inspirational. Like Joe Rogan, another super inspirational guy. And, you know, we do want, it's like, oh man, I wish I could have that mindset. I wish I could have the mindset of The Rock. You know, look at him. He's an absolute tank of a human being. Like, you look at what Kevin Hart does in the world, and it's like, yeah, oh my God, I wish I could have that. And it's like, we want to adopt that because we see it as this real beauty of what can be created.
yeah,
But the problem is like, first off, like, I am never in it ever, like, it's sheerly impossible to have that mindset of anybody else like that,
yes,
because I've got my own experiences, my own story, my own path that I've lived that is 100% different from everybody else's.
yes,
So you can't adopt somebody else's mindset. You can only create your own
yeah,
through, you know, you can use their inspiration to keep you going, but, you know, that all it is a voice, which is very similar to the voice of your conscience.
yeah.
Is, you know,
Yeah.
David
And as you
Goggins.
grow, it's going to change anyway, right? So being stuck in something, you know, we as we grow, we need to learn how to adapt more anyway. And so we're going to change. What's important to us in here, you know, may or may not change necessarily, but our resilience, our tools, all of that stuff is going to progress and grow. How we feel about things, how we think about things, all of that is going to transform and change. So being stuck in this one thing can actually sometimes make you feel like you're betraying that, and you don't want to move away from that. You know what I mean? And so you feel like you're a bit stuck, and so, you know, it doesn't allow you to expand.
Yeah, and it's it's hard, like life is hard. Like everything we experience is has its hard parts to it, and I think this is one of the big issues of today, and like it gets talked about so much, but it's the the problems that the media and social media have is we get thrown in our face of all these people doing all these beautiful, great, amazing things, and
Mhm.
it seems flawless and
Yeah.
easy because it's easy to find it. Like you look back at 20 to 30 years ago, like how easy was it to find like inspiration like you can find today? Like
Yeah.
somebody like going off on a rant, or
Yeah.
somebody saying some really inspirational words. It was left to people like Martin Luther King, you know those sorts of people that make really bold and powerful statements. Yet you go on Instagram for 10 minutes and you can go through 200 motivational videos of people doing amazing things, because it's at your touch. It's
Yeah.
it's so easily accessible
But
that
it's also overwhelming too, right? It can
hmm,
become, people actually are getting confused.
hmm. Well, that's the thing. Because it's so easily accessible,
Yeah.
it seems like it's easy, because we create this link between it as like, oh, it's like, well, I don't know where my phone is, but it's
Yeah.
like, well, let's just go on my phone and
Yeah.
find this inspiration. Boom, it's taken me 5 seconds to find this amazing thing.
Yeah.
Therefore the connection from I'm feeling shit
Yeah.
to finding inspiration is very
Yeah.
short.
Yeah.
So we kind of use that and go, okay, well, that link to feeling bad to feeling good is short, so therefore
Yes.
every situation
Yeah.
should be that quick or
Yeah.
similar to it.
I'm gonna high five you on that one.
Boom. Yeah, and that's why it's like we want to give up so easy,
Yeah.
because it's like if something takes more than 2 minutes to be able to find, then it's just like, well, it isn't like that experience that I had when I saw, you know, this person turn the life around from rags to riches.
Yeah.
It's like I want that.
Yeah.
Like they did it in a 15-second video. Why isn't it taking me
I
15
know.
seconds? You know?
And that's the thing, right? That's why I like having conversations like this, because being real and honest about the journey of moving through darkness or challenges, or whatever's going on in your life, is so important, because people do go, well, why can't I do that? Why can't I move through it so fast? They listen to a motivational speech, and it's just, you know you don't always hear about the hard stuff that the person actually had to do to get to where they are now.
Mm.
you know
Well, we only see the results, right?
yeah.
We only see the gold. We only see the green. We only see the beauty,
Yeah.
because you know the shit stuff is shit. So why do you want
Yeah.
to hear about the shit stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's even like you see it in society today. It's hard to have and listen to someone's conversation when they're going through a shit time,
Yeah.
because when you listen to what they're experiencing, you feel bad with them. You feel
Yeah.
their pain,
Yeah.
and not many people like to have that experience. So we
Mm.
stop talking to each other.
Yeah.
I know, and it's so we we spend our life trying to look for gold, and I think it was I read it in Simon Sinek's book. He said like I think he was talking about movie stars, and
Yep.
he was going on about like how the movie industry in like the 40s, 50s, 60s, they were entertainers. Their goals and aspirations were to bring joy and entertainment to the world, and to light up people's lives.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at people that are aspiring to be actors now, they want the money, the fame, the Golden Globes. They want the results
Yeah.
of what being an actor is
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
not the journey of giving, of what the whole process of what acting and that sort of industry is all about.
Yes.
And it's this is relayed in terms of life in general now, is that we want the results. We want the money, we want the car, we want the house, we want the nice family with 2.4 children.
Yes.
But even with, like, you look at soccer stars and AFL stars and things like that, you experience it, and I've no idea how long an AFL game is. Like, I'm not into it at all. Um, but let's say it's, say it's 90 minutes is a soccer match. So that's what I know. So I'll talk about that. But you look at them and see like, they're experiencing this joy of playing a game that they love, and they get to score
Yeah.
goals and they get to celebrate, and
Yeah.
they go through this. But you see this 90 minutes, this 90-minute window of their life, maybe once, twice a week.
Yeah.
But what you don't see is all the shit that they go through
Yeah.
behind closed doors.
Yes, big time. Yeah. Yeah.
The training, the hard work, the
Yeah.
injuries, the
Yeah.
disappointment, the torment. And they have families too.
Yeah.
They have family issues that go on. They have emotions that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
There's one of my favorite episodes of a podcast I listened to. I think it might have been a Joe Rogan episode, was with Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
And he's like, it's Joe Rogan says to him, he's like, what is it like, being Iron Man? And it's like, how do you handle that? Like, being Iron Man is like, it's massive. Like, everybody knows who Iron Man is now. It's
Yeah.
like a worldwide phenomenon. He says, look, it's I have to realize that, I'm not Iron Man. Like, I'm not even Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
I'm not this global superstar. I'm not this global phenomenon. When I still go home, it's like, Robert, go and put out the trash.
Yeah.
Robert, feed the dog, feed the cat. And
Yeah.
it's like, I still have to do normal shit too. And it's
Yeah.
that thing that, nobody ever sees that. Nobody ever sees them putting out the trash. Nobody ever sees them doing this. And it's
Yeah.
like, I think that's what's maybe we've got off track here. I don't know. Maybe I've gone on a little bit of a tangent, but it's nobody sees the work that goes into all of this stuff, and the
Yeah.
normal things that these people have to do as well.
That's right. And I was going to say one thing I did want to talk to you about
Mm,
that, and this is, I want to go back just for a moment to when you were struggling, with suicide.
mm.
And did you find, as a guy, did you have many men around you that you could sort of like talk to about that, or open about it, or
Um, no. Straight point.
yeah,
Like my situation's a little bit maybe a little bit different. Maybe it's a little bit the same than anybody. I'm not here to try and compare anyway, but my relationship with men was very poor from the get-go,
yeah,
because of where I guess my mental health journey started was from birth.
yes,
Like, my dad decided he didn't want to be a part of my life from birth. And when I was old enough to try and figure out, like, and realize what a father was, and realize it's like, okay, why don't I have one?
yeah,
Where is he? And, like, let me get in touch with him. I want to learn, about where I come from. I found out that he passed away. So I never had that opportunity. And there was this, I only learned, like, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, that it was this sense of abandonment that
yes,
I had, that, it had me crippled with male relationships for my entire life.
yeah,
So it was, that was very tormenting. So it stopped me from making a lot of very close male connections throughout my life. Like, being brought up in a house by just my mum.
yes,
And then that was, I just got comfortable being around women.
yeah,
So lo and behold, when I sought pain and I sought things that I needed to try and move through, guess what I did? Wanted to spend more time around women.
yeah,
And it's, rather than talk about my emotions, I just acted them out and, like, slept around, and
yeah, yeah,
tried to bury my head into something that didn't deal with it. So yeah, when it came to dealing with that, like, I was very fortunate at one stage. Like, while I was working on cruise ships, I've got I actually got a photo of them that sits next to my desk here. Like, I found three really amazing blokes on my journey, and this was probably about a year before I tried to take my own life,
yeah.
and it was amazing. We used to call ourselves the Circle of Trust.
Ah, I love it.
um, and we could say absolutely anything to us, and there was this bond and this spoken agreement that there's
Fantastic.
absolute zero judgment. And it's like, we could do the worst of the worst thing, and we'll laugh about it. We'll,
Yeah,
there might be a few jokes and stuff like that, but there's absolutely zero judgment, and we'd talk through it, and we'd be there for each other.
yeah,
And this was on a one cruise ship. And these guys, man, they did. It was the best. We had the
yeah,
most fun. We ended up, still keeping contact. We go on holidays together and stuff like that when we were younger. It was amazing. But that gave me an insight into what
yeah,
life could be like.
yeah,
And the unfortunate thing about cruise ships, which is very similar to the FIFO life, is it's temporary. You're
yeah,
on a ship for 7 or 8 months. You make some great friends while you're there, and
yeah,
then you leave and you never go back.
yeah,
You go somewhere else,
yeah,
and those friends go somewhere else, and you fortunate to maybe bump into them again on another contract, but
yeah,
more likely than not that you won't. And
yeah,
I remember where it started. This whole the where the emotion really kicked off for me was when my granddad died, and I was lucky enough to be around them at that time,
yeah,
because I don't think if I wasn't around them at this time, I don't know what would have happened.
yeah,
But they helped me hold it together at that moment in time. But it was 2 years after that when I tried to take my own life, or a year after that I tried to take my own life, and they weren't around,
yeah,
and it was just me on my own
yeah,
trying to deal with my own shit again.
yeah,
And that's when it was, yeah, I didn't have that support.
yeah, yeah. That's I find that, you know, especially coaching men, a lot of guys don't have support, don't know where to ask for support,
Mm.
and also don't feel comfortable sharing at all. And so, you know, often use the example of, you know, the white knight. You know, he doesn't want to be the white knight falling off the horse, right? Because there's so many expectations of him, and he doesn't want to let anyone down. And feeling like, and especially with a lot of the guys that I work with, you know, they're usually in some kind of management position, or you know, managing crews, whether that be FIFO, or oil and gas, or, you know, some other team that they've got to manage. And so there's a lot of stress. So there's not only the stress of their own personal stuff that they've got going, you know, going on in their lives, but also the guys are coming to them with their stuff, you know, because if that's, you know, they're struggling with their home life, they're going to them, their bosses, so they're also absorbing all of that as well. And so all of a sudden they've got this big, massive compiling, it's compacting there, right, boiling up inside them, and then they've got nowhere to go. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to deal with their emotions. All they know is that they've got to be tough. It's got to,
Mm.
you know, they can't break down in front of anyone. They can't lose it. Then they go home to, say, their partners or wives and their kids, and there's, you know, there could be a bit of shit hitting the fan there as well. And they feel, and then they're at work also knowing that there's stuff going on at home, and they're trying to deal with their home stuff, and it's just
Mm.
this huge amount of pressure for them, and they just feel like they don't have that support. And they've been brought up to also to not share, like just
Mm.
keep it all in and just handle it.
And that again, like, I think it comes full circle into the fact that no one teaches anything about emotions.
Yeah,
It's, there's no understanding on, much of a level, especially in men,
yeah,
like, about, like, I'm not saying about now. There's, now is a beautiful time where people are, really starting to open up to this. But
yeah,
you know I'm 35, so I look at my generation and the people that are around me. Is like we live around this thing, whereas, emotions are things maybe at the bottom of a pint glass.
yeah,
you know that's where we put them, and that's where we leave them.
yeah,
Or we carry them around with us, and this is just a part of the baggage that we drag around as men,
yeah,
because this is what being a man is all about. We have to be tough, we have to be strong, we have to have our shit together, and we have to have it all figured out. We have to know how to run a multi-million-dollar business, and be a leader, and be a support for our staff, and
yeah,
be the leader of our family, and do all
yeah,
this. There's a lot of pressure on men to try and do all these things, and
yeah,
it's for the most part is like time. It's like, where the hell are you supposed to fit sitting down and figuring your emotions out in
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard. Like we struggle time wise to even, a lot of people, to even fit time to exercise in.
Yeah.
So it's, that's a big thing. But going back to the education thing again, it's like, I would say a lot of men just don't have close enough connections to people to be able to open up like that,
Yes.
because of this fear of judgment.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. And when, and I mean, I've even noticed that even with myself, and I've gone through challenging times, but I notice guys, will often say this to me, like if they do say something, a little bit sort of vulnerable, just a tiny bit, you'll be right, mate. And so that's it, an end of conversation.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think we mentioned or brushed upon it before. It's like, those conversations where people's lives are going through a bit of a shitty situation,
Yeah.
is like, we generally, like, as people, we don't want to hear it, because
Yeah.
we're dealing with enough of our own shit.
Yeah.
Then there's also the fact of, it's like, what do I say to this person?
Yeah.
You know, this person's now opening up to me, and now I feel like I'm expected to give them some sort of solace, or some sort of words of inspiration or wisdom that they can take home with them, and hopefully make everything's going to be all right. So then there becomes pressure, not just on the guy opening up, but
Yeah.
there's the guy on the other side
Yeah.
receiving that information, thinking like, what do I need to do with this?
Yeah. Yeah.
So rather than just saying like, I'm here for you, mate,
Yeah.
like anytime,
Yeah.
just if you just want to say anything, we
Yeah.
say things like, "Oh, you'll be all right, mate. Everything's gonna be okay." And that word, that phrase, that thing, because we don't know how to receive other people's emotion,
Yeah.
it it sort of navigates is the wrong word, but it sort of just like throws away this
Yeah.
beautiful thing that you've
Yeah.
just done, which is
It's
sit
nearly a
here and
slap
listen
in
to
the
you.
face. It
Yeah.
can feel like a slap in the face sometimes.
Yeah, because this beautiful thing that's just happened, where this guy is like emotionally opening up to his mate,
Yeah.
because he's really struggling, and he just needs to let it out of him.
Yeah.
That beautiful thing has just been received, and it's like, wow, And then we say, "You'll be all right, mate. Have another beer." And
Yeah.
then it kind of completely invalidates, and makes the other person feel like shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they just be like, oh, well, that wasn't, didn't feel very supportive.
Yeah, that's it.
So
And
it's,
when if you've shared something and then all of a sudden, um, and you kind of, you don't get maybe receive the understanding that you feel that, you would really appreciate and love at that time, you then feel guilty
hmm,
because you've burdened that person with that, and then you're feeling weaker,
hmm,
as well, because you shared that, and well, shit, what will they think of me now?
hmm.
And there's all this
Yeah.
other stuff that goes on along with it, and yeah, and it can be a bit of a head fuck.
Hmm. Yeah, it's not a simple situation for people,
Yeah.
because this is it. It's like what we were talking about before, about negativity and positivity. It's like, it's so easy to share how awesome things have happened.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, I got a promotion.
Yeah.
Fuck, let's go and celebrate.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing to say to someone in the world.
Yeah.
Something that's really positive like that, because you just feel good automatically.
Yeah.
But when you're feeling negative, and you're faced with the sharing thing, well, we share when we celebrate, so we can't share when we're down, because
Yeah.
that would mean that we do the same thing for both, and that just doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense to me.
Do you find now when you're connecting with guys, now that you're, because you're a lot more accepting of yourself, you've done your own personal growth as well, do you find that you're able to connect with guys and be more supportive of them so much more now than you have been able to when you were younger, so to speak?
Yeah, 100%. Like,
Yeah.
God, I'd probably would have been one of the first people to run away, or say like, let's go and have a beer. When I was younger, like, because I just didn't not know what to say back then.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, I think for like, you know, it all goes apart of like how much I've dug into this and wanted to learn and understand is that, you know, it even comes down to the point where I can sort of figure where, you know, somebody wants to be heard
Yeah.
and when someone actually wants advice. You know, you
Yes.
can sort
Yes.
of tell, you can sort of tell the difference.
Yes.
To the point where, you know, you can even ask the question, it's like, look, man, like, do you just want to sit down and talk about it? And, you know, I'll give you a space to be listened to. And then, you know, at the end of it, it's like, you open to any advice? Do you want any advice? Or you just happy to just let
Yeah.
me listen to you? And it's like,
Yeah.
you know, those questions themselves is like, when you think about it, it's hard to say to someone who's pouring the heart out,
Yeah.
but it's sometimes it's just what they need to hear.
Yeah.
Is that it's like, do you want me to give you any advice? Like, because it's saying like, I have some advice and I'm here for you
Yeah.
if you want to hear it, but you know, I also want to respect your emotional state because you might not be ready for it.
Yeah.
So, you know, but you know, it's there if you need it.
Yeah.
And it's that is hard to try and portray for a lot of people,
Yeah.
but it's through honing skills and learning and having lots and lots and lots of conversations with people, it helps you get better at it. You know,
Yeah.
practice makes, well, not perfect, but
Yeah. I know.
practice gets, you know,
It actually
it makes
brings
you
a lot
better.
more understanding, doesn't it?
Yes,
Mm.
it does, definitely.
Yeah. And you
Uh,
become a really good listener.
yeah, I mean, like, I think the beautiful thing about being around women, my entire life, like having my, just me and my mum,
Yeah.
is, you know, you tend to like adapt that sort of feminine behavior. Is like, it's like I am able to listen a lot
Yeah.
because that's what I did for a long time.
Yeah.
Is, you know, I didn't have many people to talk to because my, you know, it's just me and my mum.
Yeah.
So you just listen. You
Yeah.
listen to other people, and I, you know, even as a kid, I was always a listener. I
Yeah.
never really said anything much. I just kind of hung around and just listened to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's, you know, that skill was kind of developed through that.
Mm. That's an
But
awesome
it's,
skill to have, right?
hmm,
Yeah.
yeah, it's because it's, you know, when you listen, it's, you're taking away any agenda that you may have.
Yeah.
You know, you know, it's hard as a coach, right? You know, I'm sure you find it because it's, you're in a similar sort of business. Is like, there's always that thought of like, I want to get the sale, I want to get the, you know, I want to bring this client on board because that means money for me. But if you go in with that mindset and that attitude, you're going to push the person away straight away because they'll read through you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas to be able to sit there and go through a conversation about mental health and, you know, just being there to support somebody through whatever it is they're dealing with no agenda, is, it's a tough skill to learn in itself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Well, I found it was a while ago now, I guess, especially with clients, I kind of just, like I pray, and it's just very much, I just sort of, it's like asking the divine to just bring me the clients that I'll just do the most amazing work for, that we're in alignment and stuff like that. And so then I don't have to worry about the money, right?
Mm.
And then when I get to have conversations with people, I guess they like that because it's not on the table. It's all just about having any conversation that I have is just like having a really meaningful, helpful, supportive conversation, whether they're going to come on board with me or not.
Mm.
Because I really want everyone who has a conversation with me to just go, fuck, I feel really good. Like,
Yeah.
that sort of like gave me some aha moments or gave me some really good insights, or just like may have changed the direction in their life in some way, you know what I mean, and really helped them. And then it's kind of a bit selfish too, because I feel really good about that, you know what I mean, makes me feel really, really good in here.
Mm.
So yeah, but I
But that's
think,
why you do what you do, right? It's because it
yeah,
makes
I
you feel
love
good.
it. I really love it.
Yeah.
Think too, with guys, I didn't have very many female friends, so it's funny that you say that. I didn't have very many female friends. I had male friends like all the time, so all the way growing up and through teenage years and my whole life I've always had male friends. And so I think they've always appreciated the fact that, when the guys are all like, this
Mm.
big, this big, this big, and they rah,
Yeah, yeah.
rah, 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 talking about stuff that then when the other guys would go away, I would have, more meaningful, heartfelt conversations with them. And then they would tell me stuff that none of the other guys knew about, that no one knew about, And so I learnt ages ago, I guess, I feel very comfortable having conversations
Mm.
with guys, and just have always found it really easy. So it kind of really flows for me. So yeah, I love it. So
Mm.
it's but I feel for men so much, because I guess because I do understand them. I mean, I'm not a bloke, but
Mm.
I do have a great understanding of them, and so I have a lot of compassion there, and I really feel um, like there needs to be a lot more support, for guys, and them being able to connect with each other, and having tools and that, so that they can open up and just, and I know guys listening to this, when they're hearing some of the things you're saying about just, how to communicate when a guy comes and shares something with them, what to say, like if they can even just hear those points from you and just go, okay, I can do that a little bit better. I know what to say now when someone like says something to me, and I go, toughen up, princess, or
Well, it's
whatever.
again. I guess it all comes down to, like, I'm quite new to the whole spiritual world and things like that. But I understand the difference of masculine and feminine energy, but
Yeah,
and these two exist within everybody.
yeah,
Just because you're a man doesn't mean you're 100% masculine energy. There's
yeah,
feminine energy in there as well,
yeah, of course.
and I think this is the thing, is going through and understanding this now, is that a lot of men only try to embrace the masculine energy,
Yeah,
because if they tried to embrace the feminine energy, they'd be persecuted for whatever reason.
yeah,
But it's that feminine energy that creates harmony, it creates care, it
yeah,
creates peace, and it creates that nurturing environment where you can be a solid mate and listen to a guy's problems, and be there for them
yeah,
as they experience what they're experiencing.
yeah,
But I think that when it comes into play, it's like, for a lot of guys, it's like they'll finish talking and it's like, oh, I've really embraced this feminine energy. Like, how to respond? Like, do I go, mate, I just want to give you a hug. Like, you're
yeah,
going through some shit right now and I'm here for you.
yeah,
But for the most part, it's like, masculine energy, I gotta be a man.
yeah,
Toughen up, mate. You'll be all right.
yeah,
And it's learning that it's that feminine side of yourself, like as a man, is really important to embrace.
yeah,
you know we we're so afraid to embrace that side of ourselves because of, for many different reasons.
yeah,
And it's this is what makes us the truly exceptional as who we are as individuals.
yeah,
It's like we're able to embrace that nurturing side of ourselves with, well, I know I am anyway, but through, like, kids, for example,
yeah, yeah,
because it's easy with kids, because there's no
yeah,
judgment, there's no
yeah,
persecution, there's no
yeah,
troubles.
yeah,
But you even see, like, and I'm sure this probably happened with my dad, was that he felt like he was that trapped, that
yes,
he wasn't unable to go through that side of himself. Like, he was unable to deal with that
yeah,
feminine emotional side of himself, because he didn't want to nurture, or he felt he
yeah,
couldn't nurture, or
yeah, yeah,
he felt he couldn't embrace it. So that, rather than try and deal with that, the option was there to run away.
yes,
And we run away from many things in our lives, from whether it's physically or emotionally,
yeah,
because we don't want to deal with it. And it's that challenge that is not easy, and it is a tough situation to go through, and it takes a lot of effort, and there will be tears, and there will be anger, and there will be a lot of negative emotions. But once you can really make peace with it, and really adapt it as, this is part of me,
yeah,
this is when you can start to really find this balance, and this
yeah,
level of appreciation for who you are as a person.
Yes.
Because if you're constantly fighting against something, you're constantly going to be at war.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
I don't know whether you've ever seen a war, but, it's never ending pretty. you
Yeah.
know, it's that fighting is never brings around, anything peaceful.
No.
Never
No.
brings around that harmony that we're really looking for, that sense of enjoyment and that happiness.
That's it. That's it.
Mm.
And tell me a little bit about some of your services, because
Yeah,
we'll
definitely.
put that on here so people can learn how to.
Yeah. Why, thank you. Appreciate it. So for the past 5 or so years, I've been doing a lot of one-on-one coaching,
Yeah.
and it's massively, massively helpful. So like I do a run through a program called EP7,
Yeah.
which is usually takes about 14 weeks to do, but it's a
Yeah.
7-step program. Um, and we can do this either online or face to face if you're in Perth. And this thing changed my absolute life. Like this is what I was talking about when I said, like, where the fuck was this when I was a kid?
Yes.
This is what I found out going through this program. It was just mind baffling. Like, I was like, this is amazing. Like, I go from being this person from that's trapped with all these negative feelings about myself to going through and experiencing first how to deal with all these feelings,
Yeah.
and to get them out on paper, to really understand that this is not really me, this is just an experience I'm having, to going through to realizing that all this shit that I've had is blocking off my creativity, it's blocking off my connection to my intuition, and it's blocking off my imagination, so that I can't actually do anything beautiful with my life because I'm ignoring this side of myself because I'm
Yeah.
too busy focusing on all the negative stuff.
Yeah.
And you know once you start to get connected to that, you can then start to go, okay, well, what is my purpose in life? What
Yes.
am I here to do? What am I here to create? Let's set some goals.
Yeah.
And not just like, I want to lose 10 pounds or 10 kilos or this and that. It's like actual meaningful stuff that
Yes.
enriches your life day to day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then being able to then, once you've got this solid version of yourself and this understanding, to go out there into your environment and address this
Yes.
new person that you are now willing to become,
Yeah.
and then actually go out there and practice being that person.
Yeah.
Because, and this is what I feel a lot of people that we talk to, like, want, is they want a quick fix, and they want it to be a permanent thing, or it's like, okay, let me go through this 14-week thing and then I'm done, I'm fixed.
Yeah. I'm fixed. Woohoo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm mended now, I'm right, I don't need to do anything else. Where it's not like that.
No.
It takes time, it
Yeah.
takes digging, it's a slow
Yeah.
process.
Mm.
It's you will face tough emotions and you will face tough things,
Yeah.
but you will come out on the other side of it with a plan of action
Yeah.
and a
Is that,
feeling that you want to go
you
through.
do that with children all the way up to adults? Is that, or is it?
So in like the stuff with the kids is like really, really new.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that's just manifested out of nowhere in the past 6 months, which is amazing. But this has been with adults for myself for the past 5 years. And George, the guy I spoke about earlier on, this has been his program that I'm running now he's been running it for 20 years.
Yes.
So it's he works with massive amounts of different people from all walks of life. We do work with kids as well.
Yeah.
Working morely with teenagers than any particular group of kids, but yeah, it's men, women, children. It's
Yeah.
there's parts there to be learned for everybody. Um, but yeah, it's, as I was saying, this is the one-on-one side of things, but due to the financial situation around the world, we just developed a coaching program
Yeah.
to help with groups of people now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to make it more affordable for people to come involved and still get that same attention, still get that same education, but in a way where there's a little bit less focus on them as an individual, but they're still able to really embrace the same teachings and lessons and things like
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very, very cool.
Mm.
And I'll get you to also, because I mean, obviously I'm friends with you on Facebook, but what's
Yeah.
your like official, like, do you have like a official Facebook page or Instagram page or?
Yeah, I mean, look, I do most of my stuff through my personal page. So
Yep.
just for
Yeah.
anyone that's out there can add me as a friend, I'm more than willing
Yeah.
to accept.
Cool.
As long as you're not trying to sell me something.
Yes.
Get a lot of those, unfortunately. But yeah, like and pretty much I share everything on either my personal Facebook page or my Instagram page. So it's just search Joey Odell,
Yeah.
and you'll see my big head there with my wife and my daughter and my dog. Or you can look me up on Instagram as at Joey underscore the underscore nomad.
All right, cool. I'll actually include that
Yeah,
in the
beautiful.
details of this as well,
Mm.
so that people can
But
go direct to it.
thank you. But yeah, it's the group coaching program. I've not actually released it yet. It's going to
Yeah.
get released over the next 4 weeks. So
Oh.
really excited.
Mhm.
Teamed up with one of my old pals who's I don't know how to describe him, but he coaches like world champion fighters, like boxers.
Yes.
He's very much into his holistic style of things like breath work and
Yeah.
meditation and stuff like that. So we're combining our talents to bring a program that's looking after health, well-being, nutrition, mindset,
Awesome.
the whole
Yeah.
shabam. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to release that soon, which is going to be good.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. But yes, that as well as the kids stuff. Like I don't know whether there's any teachers that's going to be out there or anyone in the schooling world, but also building some workshops to run in schools that have already started,
That's
which is it's been a pretty cool experience.
yeah.
So yeah, there's that as well. It's
What's
all
happening?
going on. It's all
Yeah.
going on.
That's
Yeah.
fine. That's good. I'm so glad that we've got to connect, and I'm going to keep in touch with you too, because I want to continue to find out what you're doing, and maybe even get you, because um, like there's so many more things I'd like to discuss with you now that I'm sort of like getting to know you more, and I'm
Yeah, yeah.
you could easily do maybe another 2 podcast episodes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely. Like, as long as I've got a cup of tea, I'm a happy man. You can't like I'm British in that way where it's like you can't have a conversation without a cup of tea.
yeah, that's
So
it.
as long as I got a cup of tea, I'm happy to talk your ear off for however long you want.
That's awesome. Oh, thanks so much. I really appreciate you coming
You're
on
welcome.
today. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun and really amazing too to connect with someone who, um, I feel like I'm super in alignment with, and we've got, very similar passions about, very similar things. So that's very, very cool. And just nice to meet a really nice bloke who really wants to do amazing things in the world, because I love meeting people with really beautiful minds and souls. And yeah, so I'm super,
Mhm.
super grateful.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for the invitation as well. So thank you. It's yeah, it's been awesome. I run my own podcast, so it's nice to be on the other end of a mic for a
Yes.
change.
It's funny because like I'm used to interviewing people. When it's back the other way, sometimes I'm a little bit, oh, I'm used to asking the questions or listening.
That's
You know what I mean? And so all of a
yeah.
sudden, I put on the spot. I'm like,
That's exactly how I was feeling before this. I'm like, okay, keep control. Don't try and take over. This isn't your show. It's like, don't do it. Don't do it. But yeah, it's been really easy. You're really good at the way you host your podcast. It's just been like a really easy flowing conversation, which has been great.
Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
that's kind of just how I operate in general. So I kind of just treat it like that, because I like to have real conversations with people, because I think when you do that, then you can segue anywhere you want, rather than kind of being stuck on, I've got 5 questions that I need to ask and they all have to be,
Yeah,
you know what I
that's
mean?
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah,
My podcast runs very much the same. It's just
yeah,
an easy conversation. Like, it's the way it should be. Like
yeah,
that. I mean, the whole reason I created my podcast was because there's so many conversations that we have with people that it's like you think it's like, oh my God, I wish I could just share that with somebody
yeah,
because it would, it would really help this person.
yeah,
So it's like there's hundreds of conversations that get lost in this world and never get recorded, and so
yeah,
many gems and beauty. That's what it should be about. The more conversations we have, the more people can find whatever they need to find within it. And
yeah,
I think
that's
it's the
it.
beauty of something like this.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm
Mm.
super, super stoked. That was meant to be.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny how it happened so quickly as well. I think we only talked about it what 2 days ago or yesterday.
I know. It was funny. Like, you'd come up a few times, then it was like a whole heap of your posts, and I was like, "Yep, I'm
That's
going to just
awesome.
reach out to Joey and just see what he reckons, see if he'll jump on a podcast." Because I just thought I need to have a conversation with him. I know it needs to be recorded. It's going to be great. So yeah,
Yeah, I'd love it. It's been an awesome experience. I could honestly continue going for hours.
yeah,
I love talking about this sort of stuff. I mean, one thing I do want to say though is like, and it's, I think because I've listened to my own podcast and have so many of these conversations, it's so easy to see the positivity that comes through from people, and it's so easy to see like how well they're doing now to be
yeah,
able to speak about this. But we do go through shit times too. Like I'm be honest and open with everybody, is that like over the past maybe 3 or 4 weeks I've been having a really shit time, and I've had my dark space.
yeah,
And it's for me, it's a constant reminder that we're not finished articles. We'll
yeah,
never be perfect. We're always going to go through stuff, and we're always going to be a work in progress, and it's okay.
yeah,
It doesn't mean that the world is over. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that your life is falling to pieces. It's unfortunately, it's part of life. We can't have everything perfect all the time,
yeah, yeah,
and it's okay.
yeah, yeah. That is so true. I think um, I've had people say this to me, and I've said this to other people before, and that's when someone's just really going through a really shit day,
Mm,
just to say, don't worry about it today. Let me take that off you today.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Just let me take that off you. He's like, it's it feels more, it feels like a nice warm hug, even though you're not physically there. But to just like, let me be the person who just takes that for you today, so you can just have a rest and recovery day and not have to worry about it. And even though it kind of sounds like, might sound a bit woo or a little bit weird, it's really nice to know that someone can just say, guess what, you get your time to rest today. You don't have, you just
yeah,
find some peace. Mm.
yeah. And I think it's you're definitely right there. We need to be more gentle to ourselves,
Yeah,
and to realize that it's okay when you're feeling down to take some time off.
yeah,
It's okay when you're not at your best. You don't need to charge forward. Yeah, you may have things that you have to do that you can't avoid, especially if you're a parent.
yeah,
But it doesn't mean that you have to be running at full capacity
yeah,
every moment of every day. It's
yeah,
like you can take that time for yourself to recharge if you need to.
yeah, yeah,
And if you're struggling, reach out. I'm here, and I'm always happy to have conversations with people. There's no,
yeah.
just because I run a coaching business doesn't mean that I'm going to try and sell you something.
I
uh,
know. It is like
it's
that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
I
like
find that myself when I just say, just give us a call, or, it's totally cool. And they're like, oh, well, and I go, like complimentary. If you're stuck, you make sure you call me. You know what I mean? Like
mm,
it's all good. I think, people do get a little bit afraid from that. And I have had people um, that have actually wanted some help, just needed someone to talk to. And they've got on there and they've been like, oh my God, is she going to try and sell me something? Why did they've said to me, why did you offer that? And then when
mm,
they've got in the conversation, they're going, oh, I'm so, they're like, sit back, I'm just relax now.
yeah,
Oh, like this has just been so great. I said, I told you, you just got to like trust when someone offers that. Even if
mm,
it doesn't turn out good for you all the time, there's always going to be opportunities that just get handed to you, right? That just could just be create a really beautiful moment for you where you can just, share and be vulnerable. Mm.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's cool. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up because
Yeah,
we can just keep going and going
I
because
know. I think we could.
So thanks so much for today. This has just been incredible. I'm going to put all your details on the post. And I just want to thank everyone for joining. And and I'm super grateful for you, Joey. This has been really, really good.
I think there's one thing that we have to do before we finish this up, and this is
Is it
something
to show me the picture that you took of your daughter?
I can do that, but it was actually
Because
to
I was
take
going to
a
ask you to do that.
it was actually to take a selfie. We're not in person, but we're still here talking to each other. There we go. But I'll show you a picture of my daughter. Where is she? There she is.
Oh, what a cute little teacher. Oh, she's beautiful.
Yeah, 100% candid. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, then. Well, big hugs to you.
Yeah, likewise, Mandy. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's been really beautiful to have this conversation, and yeah, let's hope we have many more in the future.
We sure will.
Yeah,
All
awesome.
right, big hugs.
And back to you too.
See you later. Take
See
care.
ya. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, 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 beautiful man. If you're going through stress, need insight, direction to lighten the load, brother, and support during these challenging times, reach out to me. It's no secret that there are so many men suffering at the moment, amazing men, and they're so keen to get help, but don't know what that looks like. So I've created a 6-week one-to-one resilience coaching package for men with one-to-one coaching calls and support via Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp in between calls to help put yourself back in the driver's seat of life. And there's a strong level of trust that goes hand in hand with walking by someone's side during their challenges and their celebrations too. And that's what I'm here for, brother. So message me and let's find your path to true resilience.